What's up, everyone? Well, welcome to Culture Binge, the Wisecrack podcast, where we get all exploratory in the cultural zeitgeist. I am Michael, joined as always by the Dark Lord of Depressing Thursdays, Alec, and the celebratory sage of sunny Saturdays, Serby. How are you all doing today?
That was your best intro in a while.
Yes.
I'm great.
Doing very well. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for the second episode in a row to be live again. That's really good. I'm glad they let us back on after YouTube shut us down for shocking content, just so everyone knows that's a joke. And just to remind everyone as well, we are live every other Wednesday. And then the podcast goes up for you to download it on Fridays. So making that clear for everyone, there's a little bit of a gap, and sometimes people have wondered, why do we take it down from YouTube? Well, you got to be here for the special edition, and then you can download it on Friday, just so everyone knows that.
But also, we archive all of these episodes on Wisecast.
Yes.
Just search Wisecast. You'll find it. It's basically the same logo, but it's a little pink and purpley.
Wisecasts. So I have to practice my plurals a lot. Here's a little inside baseball for everyone. We make videos at Wisecrack. Often, Evan has to stop me and make me redo words that are plural S's because I often swallow them.
Yeah, I've left those notes a few times.
Well, there you go. No one's perfect. But we are excited to be here today. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the, I guess, surprising resurgence of Rebecca Black. We are going to talk about COVID vaccine sneaks. Sorry that my voice got heated when I brought that up. And we're going to talk about tech cities, which is not cool, but might sound fun. But to get started, we're going to do slaps and chaps. We'll see if Alec participates in chaps this time around. He's often, wanting to keep it positive, which I respect. So let's start with Serby. Serby, what do you got for slaps and chaps this go round?
So Patrick Dexter slaps. Patrick Dexter is a guy who spent lockdown posting wonderful videos on YouTube of himself playing the cello in open air recitals. He sits behind this really charming cottage next to a lake, and he plays everything from Beethoven to like a 12th century Irish Christmas carol. And
Sick.
The videos are so relaxing. I highly recommend that you check them out. His channel is Patrick Dexter Cello, and he's also on Patreon. What chaps? I watched Bling Empire on Netflix, and it's so for those of you who don't know, it's like a reality show, like a real life version of Crazy Rich Asians, the movie. And after watching it, everything chaps now. I want to just be super rich.
Aren't they arms dealers? Someone told me that one of them was an arms dealer.
Anna her fortune comes from arms dealing.
Oh, her parent, her dad or somebody.
But that's where she got her fortune from.
Yeah, well,
yeah, she didn't sell the guns. She just got the royalty checks from the dead babies. That's how that works, right?
But she's very generous. She gives diamonds to people and stuff.
Is she
here's a blood
to
diamond
Afghani
that
civilians?
was taken from the corpse of a dead Afghani child.
Listen, I'm not endorsing
Let's got dark.
her wealth.
I like the show too, though. My favorite is the male model guy who's the one, quote unquote, poor one.
Yeah.
Who's like the audience's avatar, and he has a Zoolander-esque vibe, and that he's very handsome, but in the sweetest way possible, very dumb.
Yes, very dumb, but very charmingly dumb, like a puppy, kind of.
Yes, big fan of that guy. Fun show, made me feel bad about myself though, for maybe different reasons. That's fun. And I like that your chap was still kind of positive. It was this thing was so good, now nothing else feels good afterwards.
Yeah.
So there you go. Alec, how about you? Slaps and chaps.
My slaps is really lame this week. I meant to watch all of it, but I watched the first 30 minutes of Judas and the Black Messiah, and so far the first 30 minutes is what slaps. It's good. I hope the rest of the movie is good. Who knows? Maybe the second act is going to be awful, but check it out. Lakeith Stanfield, love that guy. Daniel Kaluuya, also awesome. As far as chaps, one of my favorite podcasts may or may not be canceled, and that's all I'll say.
Oh yeah, I won't say anything else, but yeah, I've been thinking about this one a lot. If you know, you know. If you know, shout it out in the chat. I will say this too. I don't want to steal Alec's slap, but as someone who completed Judas and the Black Messiah, very good movie. So I'll say that, just a very good movie. even I'm bitter at my partner because she fell asleep part of the way through it. And I was like, really? You're going to sleep through this? But that's a different thing for another day. My slap will be a novel that I got halfway through this weekend. A new one from a writer called Lauren Euler, a book called Fake Accounts. It's just very good, and it's a novel that deals with questions of like our identity on the internet, the way that digital culture can make us sometimes feel a little bit alienated. There's some fun social and political analysis there, and it's very funny. So if you're looking for a new book to read, that's a fun one. My chap would be that The Bachelor's falling apart, guys. The Bachelor franchise is in a weird thing. They've had a racism controversy this past week. The people that run the show have responded very weirdly, and it's made the show feel kind of icky to watch. Now, some of you might be saying, really, Michael? Just now you feel icky about The Bachelor? There's only so much self-delusion that one can have. So that's been kind of a bummer, much like Alex's favorite podcast.
Well, the difference is that like this is a good podcast that does good things, whereas, and no hatred to anyone who, like I watch plenty of trash, but when a trash thing goes downhill, I feel like we should feel less sad about it.
Yes. So that's that. And just a quick shout out as well to our honorary slapper and chapper due to buys 1985. Thank you so much for in the chat. Thank you so much for your donations. What slaps for him is rediscovering sea shanties on TikTok, which is very fun. Chaps, snowstorms in Michigan. And genuine shouts and hugs to everyone across the country who's very cold right now.
Yeah. Around the world.
That's all I got to say about that. Yeah. We very much feel for you. Okay. So before we get into our first topic, quick reminder, everyone, subscribe, rate, and review. Subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you like to do it on. Rate it, preferably 5 stars. If you don't want to do 5 stars, just don't rate it at all. You know what I mean? I'm going to be honest with you.
We'll accept 4.
Alec will accept 4. I will not. So you make of that what you will. And then in the reviews, tell us anything. I don't know. So have fun with the reviews. We've said before, tell us, what cocktail we would be. Who should play us in a movie? Recently, someone wrote in and said what band we would all be.
Oh, yeah.
Sadly, all I remember about this is that I got to be the Beastie Boys, which I thought was fun. And Alec was Mumford & Sons, which I thought was endlessly delightful. Serby, do you remember who you were?
I was, so it was this woman.
I hadn't heard of yours.
I've never heard of her. I think she was this beautiful Eastern European singer. And I actually listened to some of her songs and I was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, so we like it. So if you review us, just pick a category. Food, U.S. presidents, European nations, musical artists, famous fascist and totalitarian leaders, and tell us which one we match up with. So do that. We'd love it, and we love you. So thanks. So let's get into it. Our first topic this week, Alex is going to talk to us about Rebecca Black, someone who we might remember from her, I think, the music video her parents got her for her birthday when she was in high school for a song called Friday. It was a viral sensation, then led to some backlash in her life. Now she's back, I guess?
Yeah, she's been around. And so for anyone who doesn't know, and God damn it, I can't believe this is 10 years ago, but in 2011, the world was a different place. Rebecca Black was 13 years old. Her mom paid $4,000 to a record label called Arc Music to have like a song produced and a music video produced. And that was the song Friday. As you may or may not know, Friday, got to get down with Friday. Everyone's looking forward to the weekend. Partying, yeah. I don't want to hum it. I was told we could get demonetized for that. But it was kind of a weird time in the internet. It became super, super viral because of how shitty of a song it was, like in the vein of William Hung getting super famous kind of a few years earlier. People were very, very mean to her because the song was very bad. And I just remember a lot of the discourse was like, look at this like rich kid getting spoiled and her mom doing it. At the same time, now as an adult, I'm like, oh my God, this was a 13-year-old child. And sure, she comes from maybe a more privileged background, but like what the fuck was wrong with the entire internet, basically like bringing up the sacrificial lamb to make fun of. She's talked in interviews about it being kind of traumatic. One of those interviews, I think is called Terrible Thanks for Asking. I haven't listened to it, but it was summarized to me by someone who has. But she just talks about being a dumb kid and having like the whole kind of world thrust upon her. Her friends at first were super excited to be in the video and become famous, but then turned on her when they realized that they were a collective joke. She, in a USA Today interview, talks about the bullying and depression, like the career setbacks. But weirdly enough, and this is what I find kind of strange, she just like kept going with the music career. She put out a song not too long ago called Girlfriend. I listened to it. I'm not like a huge pop music guy, but I would say it's fine. It's not, horrendously bad like Friday. But the reason I'm talking about this is 10-year anniversary, and she put out a remix. We have some image, again, we can't play it, but we have some images of that music video. And it's weird that she's kind of just like fully identified with this thing that sort of ruined her life and now is also capitalizing off it. Cause again, like, I don't know how successful she is as a pop singer, but I think she would have even less success had it not been for this horrific meme she became. I also think it's interesting, like 6 months earlier, there was another similar case of just like a child becoming famous on the internet for being stupid. The person at the time known as Jesse Slaughter, now they go by Damien Slaughter, or just Damien. I'm not sure. I think the last name is fake, but Damien, if anyone remembers the Done Goofed meme, basically this kid started beef with 4chan and got like doxxed and harassed and all of this stuff. And then their dad put out like this really like angry, like, you done goofed. We're going to backtrace you and call the cyber police. And to be honest, like her dad freaking the fuck out was really funny. But yeah, it seemed like in 2010, 2011, we were really into like making children famous for all the wrong reasons. And that's what I want to talk about. Also in context of, I just watched that Britney Spears documentary.
Yeah. I'm out on kids being famous because there was, the Britney Spears documentary, huge bummer. There was a documentary that HBO put out last year, that was on child celebrities and child actors and like how their lives go. That was very depressing and kind of dark. I just don't think kids should be famous. Like, for all the examples of a famous kid who turns out pretty decent, like Beyonce, let's say, who is on Star Search and stuff like that, we have like 100 examples of famous kids thrust into the spotlight whose lives go bad. It was already enough in like when I was in middle school, if you knew someone said a bad thing about you, or if someone wrote on the bathroom that like this was your mom's number and she wanted to go out with other middle school boys or something, to have all of this on the internet is just a lot. I find it scary. Maybe I sound like an old man right here. I just say like keep kids anonymous. That felt weird to say, but you know what I mean.
I agree. I think that children they haven't developed those coping mechanisms yet. They haven't developed resilience or anything. They have no baseline to understand what's good and what's bad in terms of what people are saying about you. Everything feels horrible at that age. And it can have such long-term lasting effects. If somebody says something terrible about you when you're like 6 years old, I mean, you could be like 35 and like still dealing with those issues. But going back to Rebecca Black, I think it's incredible that she's stuck with music this whole time and that she reclaimed that song that caused her so much trauma when she was 13. I am very interested in how she developed so much resilience because I don't know that I could handle that. I feel like I would have given up on music. I would have been like, this isn't for me. The whole world hates me.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a perverse incentive. Again, with the William Hung thing, it's like, your goal as a dumb 13-year-old is to become famous, obviously. And it's like, oh, you can get on Good Morning America. And like, sure, the host might be nice to you, but like you're on there because people are laughing at you. It's basically the plot of the Joker now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, like, again, Rebecca Black and William Hung, like they got all these opportunities like to perform or to be voice actors or in things and to be on talk shows and all these things. And, even if, Katie Couric wasn't laughing in their face, like they were on there because people were laughing at them. And so like, at the same time, like what you're saying, Serby, is that like she kept going in spite of this, but at the same time, like the system was like kind of tricking her into keeping going by like the sort of threading along the promise of fame.
But not every person who is mocked does that though. Like some people just like fade away or feel like they can't deal with it. So I do agree with you. Like there is a sort of like hamster wheel where you're like, oh, I'm getting laughed at, but I'm also getting more press and more money. But I do think that there is something incredible about somebody who's dealt with global mocking, like a worldwide session of people mocking your interests, and then you just keep going with it.
Yeah. I mean, it does. I don't want to be too reductive here. It doesn't hurt when your mockery comes with a big earning potential. I know most people I know that got viciously bullied did not have a earning potential and like PR campaigns attached to it. So I feel like less bad for someone who gets really bullied but can at least make a bunch of money off of it. I know it sounds shitty, but like I don't know, it's that's real. This does make me think as well, the whole Rebecca Black thing about like the Claudia Conway on American Idol thing. I don't know if any just a quick TLDR type thing. Claudia Conway, daughter of George Conway and Kellyanne Conway, who was getting famous on TikTok for being like, whoa, my parents suck, was on the season premiere of American Idol. Some would argue, I would argue, that she's not a super talented singer, which is fine because she's 16 and has tons of time to develop into whatever she wants to develop into, but they kept her on the show, and the general sense was we're kind of putting this young woman through the ringer and like letting her stay famous because of the fact that her parents are like right-wing political folks. It felt icky, and it reminds me of this a little bit and the things that we do to like viral children.
Yeah, and the whole thing there too was like she was on TikTok, I think, accusing her mom of being emotionally, maybe physically abusive.
Physically.
Physically too. Yeah, and obviously take those things seriously, like get the authorities involved. But I just even see like kind of journalists I respect, I think people's instinct is like, oh, let's publicize the shit out of this to like get people involved. And I feel like, no, this is like a kid. Like the thing is to like call your friend who works at child services to like investigate this quietly and without, cause like you don't fucking know,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that Lionel Richie is a certified social worker and he's now on the case. And then Katy Perry has a background in child trauma and psychology. And then, the other guy, Luke Bryan, he's just a good time country boy. Sorry for that digression.
Those are the judges.
Oh yes, Lionel Richie and Katy Perry do not have backgrounds in any of They're both very talented and seem like nice people. I like them very much, and I think they seem like great hosts, but no, they're not that. So does it seem then like so Rebecca Black remixed her song, had a bunch of pretty heavy hitters on the remix, right, Alec?
Sorry, one more time. I was reading a comment that distracted me.
Wow. So Rebecca Black, who we're talking about, so she remixed her own song, has some heavy hitters on it. It seems like now, has she transcended to where people just think this is cool in a non-ironic way? You know what I mean? Like, so I guess that's what I wonder. And sort of, I don't want to get too meta. This isn't really meta, but do we think now people are rocking with this song because it's like funny that it's Rebecca Black, or are people like, oh, she seems kind of fucking cool now, she has this cool cyberpunk vibe in the video and she has some great people on it? Like, do we think this is indicative of her kind of being taken seriously as an artist?
No.
Sorry, was quick with it.
I think the Friday remix is intentionally like bad. Like the song Girlfriend, again, if you listen to it, it's just like a normal pop song. Like it's not auto-tuned to shit or anything. Whereas Friday, the remix, it's like tuned up a ton. It's basically kind of like a mockery of itself. But I feel like there's a pushing past the like ironic liking of a thing to just like, this reminds me of when I was a teen being stupid. Like I feel like there's a genuine sort of like emotional like warmness people might feel in relation to Rebecca Black now. Like for me, I think like 20 or something, but like if you're a 15-year-old girl and like she's being made fun of on the internet, I could see how you're like, oh, like I'm rooting for them,
I liked the song, like the original. I didn't think it was bad. I used to sing it. It was fun.
Wow.
I thought it was nice. I was like, oh, this is such a sweet song that you would probably sing like on your way home from school. I thought it was really cute. And I was excited that she was doing it. I didn't think it was anything weird. I guess I was in the minority there. I didn't mind it.
Yeah. I think she just lucked out. Not lucked out. I think didn't luck out because I don't know, like, even when I was in high school, I knew people that made like music videos and recorded songs, but it was just rudimentary and it was just slightly pre-YouTube. So
and
it's
one
like
of them
she just
is Fred
caught
Durst.
that wave perfectly. What about Fred Durst?
You went to high school with like Fred Durst and all the other like swamp rock people, right?
Yeah,
No?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm 55 years old and went to high school in Jacksonville, Florida with Lynyrd Skynyrd, members of Limp Bizkit, Tom Petty, the guys from Creed. Those were my buds.
Yeah.
Pretty embarrassing. Oh, it's so weird that Florida's whole Florida had swamp rap metal and then they had like teen pop. It was a weird world. But we're not talking about Florida now. So what do we think? What's the future of Rebecca Black? Do we think she sticks around as a viable pop artist? Is this her second 15 minutes of fame?
I hope. I haven't listened enough to her catalog to really like judge the artistic merit. But I hope it's like a Hannah Montana becoming Miley Cyrus. I mean, I know Miley Cyrus is Miley Cyrus, but it's like, oh, look at this like dumb Disney star. And it's like, oh, actually this person's really talented. I would love to see that sort of arc for Rebecca Black.
That sounds great. I like that too. Serby, any final thoughts on Rebecca Black?
I'm rooting for her. Go Rebecca Black.
Yeah. And
you know,
there's,
why not? Yeah. Why not?
There was one person in the comments wants to know why we're talking. It's the 10th anniversary of Friday. And so if that feels like it happened last year, time is awful, an awful, awful illusion. It's cruel and it hurts us all.
For some of us, Friday means the classic Chris Tucker and Ice Cube film that came out 25 years ago. So that says a lot about a person. You say, do you like Friday? And if one might think of the Rebecca Black song, one might think of the Ice Cube movie. I think one of those things is better. In the chat, let us know. Are you more of a Friday the movie or Friday the song person? Yeah, that's great. Good to talk about that. Before we move on, I want to share something with everyone that I'm truly excited about. And this isn't some like bullshitty me shilling for anyone thing. Wisecrack is a part of a new social media platform. I don't know if I'm using the right term. I know that sounds corny.
Future.
The future. But it's this thing called Hi-Ho. Okay? Now, Hi-Ho is this app. And when I first heard about it, I was like, I don't know. But then I got on it and I was like, I really like this. Here's the deal. Hi-Ho allows you to have real-time video conversations with a bunch of different people. You can post questions, messages, things. People can reply to it and have these sort of threaded conversations. It's like Twitter if there was video and conversation, and as of right now, less trolls and psychopaths. Yeah. And Wisecrack is one of the first channel platform brands that's going to be on there. We actually just launched our channel today, and you can jump on there. And what this really means is, and I know on this podcast, our favorite part of it is the calls and the emails and interacting with you on the chat and having you hit us up on social media. And this just creates a space just for that. So here's the deal. If you went on the App Store right now and put in Hi-Ho, the App Store would be like, what? Because it's not live, it's not public, but we're going to get you on the beta version to get involved right now. So all you have to do is you go to Hi-Ho, so HIHO.video/beta or beta, BETA/Wisecrack. Once again, that's hiho.video/beta/Wisecrack. There is a link in the description if you're watching right now. Download the app. It's going to make you like download this other. You'll figure it out. You're all smarter than me, so you can do it. Jump on, and right off the bat, you'll see we have some posts up there. Reply to them, discuss. I'm going to talk back with you. We're going to have a fun time. And then we're going to see what happens. We might try out some new formats on that. We might use some of your comments to create some fun content. It's just a way for you to get more involved with the channel and for us to get more involved with you on Hi-Ho.
Come chat with us on Hi-Ho.
Yeah.
I installed the app and I immediately went on and asked Burns, who does he think he is and what gives him the right? And I think just more of that. If you want, you could also ask questions like, what's your favorite philosopher? What do you think about Kierkegaard's concept of anxiety? Or you could just troll him. Not like a bad troll, like no weird death threats, but just like nice trolling. Let's invent nice trolling.
Okay, but for right now, go on. First things that are up there, we have some initial conversations going. One is just an intro to the channel. One, I asked people what class changed their life. I know school sucks, but like there's always one good class.
Nerd.
And then there's a prompt there about what movie changed the way you see the world. So go in, download it. Record yourself, do the damn thing. It's going to be really fun. hiho.video/beta/wisecrack. And you're the first ones on there. I think it's so exciting. And you can I don't know, you can talk to Tim Ferriss or something. So that's Hiho. Now we want to talk about something that isn't cool, because Hiho is cool. This thing isn't cool. I don't know about you all. When I was in school, and this is a real thing, I would get in trouble for freaking out if someone cut a line or cheated. And I remember once this kid jumped ahead in the lunch line with his friends, and I lost my shit because I just had a deep feeling that injustice is bad in all places. That's just who I am. And Serby is going to tell us about some line cutting that's happening. It's a little worse than cutting in line on cookie day at the school cafeteria.
Yes.
Yeah, debatable, but yeah.
So a few days ago, we received an email from Jake who talked about a Canadian couple jumping the vaccine queue. Here's what he had to say. Since you all seem to enjoy shitting on the moralist, self-centered scum of society, I thought I'd pass along the story of a couple who are possibly the most hated people in Canada at the moment. The gist of the story is a multimillionaire CEO and his trophy wife traveled to a remote northern community from British Columbia to pose as motel workers and receive vaccinations that are earmarked for the vulnerable Indigenous population of Beaver Creek, Yukon. The two have since been charged and the man fired from his job, but Canadians are still feeling pretty pissed about this. It's probably as classic an example of rich elites thinking they can do whatever they want with no consequences as I've seen during the pandemic. The monetary fines are basically nothing to them, so it feels good that they're at least getting absolutely dragged online over this. They literally stole vaccines from Indigenous people who have already had virtually everything stolen from them by white ding-dongs like this guy and his wife. So I had been thinking about this because I've heard other examples of people doing shady things in order to get the vaccine sooner. And this is the most extreme story I've heard. But other ones that I've heard, people driving 13 and a half hours across states to volunteer at a vaccination mega site for a few hours just to get the vaccine. Other people trying to get temporary jobs at grocery stores so that they're in a higher tier in terms of vaccine distribution. And other people lying about being caregivers to the elderly. So if there's grandparents or somebody living separately, the other family will take them to the vaccine site and be like, oh, well, we take care of them, so can we get the vaccine as well? And so this makes me so mad. I know that we want to get everybody vaccinated, but I hate the dishonesty. I think it's a different story if you're at a pharmacy or if you're somewhere and they announce on the intercom system hey, we have 3 vaccines that are about to expire. Does anybody want them? Which I've heard happens as well. But this just is so morally reprehensible and it makes me so mad. And the sad fact is that the people who can afford to do these things, fly and drive across states or to go to various places to take low-paying jobs at a grocery store or at a motel, these are the same people that have had an easier time staying safe in the pandemic. Their careers have easily pivoted to remote working. They can order their groceries online. They can set up home offices. They have easy access to the internet for work and school. And it's disturbing to me that the population that can stay safest during a pandemic is doing just about anything in order to get vaccinated. Oh, I'm so heated. Anyway, how do you two feel about this? Have you heard stories?
I have so many thoughts. Because on one end, I feel that rage. And especially with this Canadian couple, they're the fucking worst. I think there's a lot of less severe cases of just people you see getting the vaccine. You're like, oh, did you really need it? And so on one end, I'm hearing stories about, well, for instance, I know a person who works at a hospital who is eligible because they work at the hospital, but they work remotely. And for a while, they're like, you know what, I'm not going to get this. Other people need it more. But then found out that nobody at the 40% of the people at the hospital were getting it, and doses were going to go bad. And so finally, they're like, I'm going to get it. I know people who, in some states, if your BMI is over a certain point, you can get a vaccine. And I know some people who like have an old doctor's report from like 4 years ago and they've since lost a ton of weight. And so like there's that. And, maybe there's still lingering effects of you're still at risk or something like that. And then like, so I just see a lot of people and I feel like I shouldn't get in the place where it's like, oh, like, do you really like deserve it? I feel like, I like the line metaphor. It's kind of like when you go up to a place and there is no line formed because our country's a shit show. And sort of you stand back waiting for a line to form, but instead people are just bum rushing and you're like, this is a problem. But also the people like bum rushing it like aren't necessarily the problem. The problem is that there's like not like an actual line. And like a great example, like every state is so different and shitty and fucked up that there's also lots of cases where I don't fault people for sort of circumventing the system. For instance, there is a person in my family with leukemia in Massachusetts. You would think like very high risk. Massachusetts, I think currently or until recently was only 75 years or older. And now they're doing, expanding that to like, if you have 2 comorbidities. So it's not just like, oh, you have leukemia. It's like you have leukemia and a high BMI, or you have leukemia and like a history of heart disease or something like that. And so basically this person is like, oh, like I should fucking start smoking so that I can get this fucking vaccine. And like, this person could travel across state lines, which is like a little shady. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be like, oh, you person immunocompromised with cancer. I'm not going to fucking get mad at them. But I think there's like a lot of cases like that, like people's grandparents who are, either 65 or 64, like who are at risk and might be like cutting the line in small ways. Like, I don't think we should, not that you're doing this, Serby, I don't think we should go around scolding them. At the same time, fuck that Canadian couple.
Yeah. There's also a piece, I think it was in like either New York Magazine or Hollywood Reporter. Shouts to both publications. They had a thing yesterday about people in the film industry who are getting vaccines. And a big thing that's happening now, I guess, is private planes full of executives are flying to Florida to get vaccines there. So crews from LA and New York are doing that. There was a few doctors in it who anonymously said there's like celebrities who are asking for vaccines but want to keep it secret because they know how bad of a look it'll be. Yeah. And I guess there's even some PR people who are like telling their clients to not do it because of public backlash. Like if we find out that Jennifer Lawrence got vaccinated before us, we'll all be like, fuck you, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah. How could we though? She's America's sweetheart. But I think this sucks. I do think, to I guess riff off what you just said, Alec, like I have some sympathy for the fact that people are treating this shit like the Hunger Games because it has felt like that. The response from the top and from state and local and federal governments has felt a little Hunger Games-ish, like it's every person for themselves. So it's not shocking that people have resorted to that logic. Yeah. But it's also a bummer because the sort of like communal logic of being like, to be corny, like all in this together only works if we're all in this together. It kind of falls apart when people start cutting lines. But that said, I guess the one thing that I think with all of this, and the Canadian example is just such utter shit, and I hate those people and would physically fight them. I will text them my address if they want it. They can come find me. But for a lot of people who are getting them in less insidious ways, it's like, I guess at least it gets us a little closer to a herd immunity, and it's better for everyone if more people are vaccinated. Something that's happening here in LA that I find kind of annoying is people are camping out near vaccination sites to try to get extra doses. And a reporter 2 days ago was at a site in South Los Angeles. And South LA is largely like a brown and black community. And most of the people camped out were like white college students, which like that annoyed me a little bit. Not a little bit, a lot bit. That those were the people camping out trying to get those. And it's also annoying that like a healthy 21-year-old does not need it that bad.
But they're going to spread it to people who are going to... That's the other thing. Like the shittiest, most selfish people who are going to cut the line are the ones that are like indoor dining 8 times a week and like should be vaccinated so they don't kill someone.
That's a fucked up thing. The people who are the worst, I guess there'd be the highest benefit of vaccinating them. But those of us, I'll say us, who have done a really good job this whole time are going to be the last people to get the vaccination. Mm-hmm. Like I know myself, like I am not going to get it until I am able to, whatever system in my city allows me to do it, get one. They're saying late July. I think there's no way it's happening until August or September. But it's a bummer. But I guess it's like I think Green Day said this once. Nice guys finish last.
Wow. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to quote Green Day. I feel really bad about it.
I think the other thing though is like with the lines of people and stuff. I even thought about, and I don't, so New York recently, Andrew Cuomo, I was gonna say like invert bless his heart, like, but I don't know, curse his heart. I don't know. He's the worst. But anyway, he said that you can stop wasting doses. I know a pharmacist literally just, we can't give the doses unless you're in the actual category. So we're just throwing doses away every fucking single day. Now you can. And so the question is, is there gonna be sort of these standby lines? And should I, as a person who can go get it? And like, I think it sucks in the sense that I'm a person who's like lucky enough to have a job where like I could take half a day off to like walk over to a hospital and do it, and like other people aren't, and like that is shitty. And these lines of people, like there's a shittiness to it, but at the same time it's like we gotta vaccinate people. Thanks Dwayne Hatmill for the donation, by the way.
Thank you,
Thank you
Dwayne.
so much.
So I think it's different in that situation. Like if you just can get the vaccine because it's going to expire, or if you have a compromised immune system and you are going to do something shady so that you get the vaccine, I think that's fine. My issue is people who are already quite privileged, who are the ones that the whole pandemic, like the pandemic has not affected them at all. They were still dining, they were still traveling. They're the ones that every single person that I've heard who has done something shitty has been one of those people who's just been like, the vaccine's not a big deal. And it bothers me that, well, if it's not such a big deal, then why are you going to such great lengths to get the vaccine now?
But it's that logic too. I think it's the same type of person that like always needs to have the best or coolest thing. I think these are the same people that make sure they get like the newest iPhone, and they have to have like the newest car when it comes out and the coolest shit. And it's just a part of that, like what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of like stunting, kind of like wannabe influencer lifestyle thing where people
they're looking for a Wirecutter
shit.
Article about like, is Moderna or Pfizer better? Like, it's like this one's 86, but this one's 85% effective. You know,
as of right now, I'm team Moderna. I think Moderna is more like, more of like the Arcade Fire vaccines, whereas Pfizer's like the Foo Fighters, and then Johnson & Johnson is going to be like the like early strokes.
I was going to
say
Jet, like they came in the game late and are trying to do a thing that someone did 20 years ago.
Yeah. If you're in the chat, let us know which vaccine you want.
I want Moderna because Dolly Parton is behind it. So anything Dolly does.
Shouts to Dolly Parton. We stan her.
Except her Super Bowl commercial. We don't stan her Super Bowl commercial.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Legends are allowed to make failures. 2 legends really fucked up the Super Bowl. This should have been my Chaps. Bruce Springsteen made this horrible commercial for Jeep. And Bruce Springsteen's a legend. Don't put dirt on his name. Dolly Parton, also a legend, did a commercial for like DoorDash or something. No, not DoorDash. It was she did a song called From 5 to 9 about how you have to work 24/7 in our hustle culture and get like side gigs on apps and stuff.
But in a good way. Like she was celebrating it after she made a movie. After she made a song for a movie about how your boss is the worst.
Yeah, she was celebrating that in the current economic conditions of this country, you have to work 24 hours a day if you want to pay rent and not die.
Yeah.
There was a lot of weird. I'll say this: Super Bowl commercials this year. A lot of things where artists who in their own lives have like pretty good ethics and values did ads for some particularly insidious companies. I will leave it at that. Also, look up the Sesame Street ad. It was a bummer. But back to line jumping. So the real question is, Serby, you're in a Walmart doing your shopping, okay? As you do. You hear a thing come over the intercom. It says, we have 2 doses of Moderna supported by Dolly Parton for whoever can get to the pharmacy right now. You're running, and you see that you're about to be the second person. You look to your left. You see an elderly person moving slow. Their hip is bad, but you know you can make it. Do you get the vaccine or do you let that person get it?
Oh, 100%. I would knock that bitch down to get it.
What the fuck?
I'm kidding.
You monster.
I'm kidding. I would
edit
run.
I'm kidding. When we do this one, edit
and then
I'm
she'd
kidding.
give him a 10% tip. Like, thank you for your time. I don't value your labor.
No. What I would do is I would run. I would be like take the spot for the vaccine, but I would give it to the elderly person coming. I've done shit like that before. Where like I will see that there is somebody who's trying to get something and I'm just closer. So I'll be like, oh, I'll like hold your spot for you. So that's what I would do.
Well, if any of our listeners are elderly and have been knocked over by Serby, please send us a line.
Yeah, we'll take her out for you. That's unacceptable. Well, that's exciting. And, if you are a vaccine sneak, send us an anonymous email. We won't snitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you're a snitch ass, we're
Talk
not
to
going to be
us.
like you.
Tell us
I think-
about your thought
Yeah, I want to know the
process.
psychology of a creep.
Yeah.
I think there's so many like morally excusable examples and like a lot of gray areas, and then the morally inexcusable examples, and so I just want to explore them all.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're going to move on now. Now, guys, I don't know if you are ever like this. This is a thing that always happens to me, where I will be like on an app or using a technology, and I think to myself, like, I don't want to be on Facebook. Like, I want to live in Facebook. I don't want to drive a Tesla. I want to live inside of Tesla. I don't want to trade Bitcoin. I want to live inside of a community founded fundamentally around the united government of Bitcoin. And I thought this would be a dream, but now it's becoming a reality. Because what I want to talk about today is a legislature that's been proposed in Nevada that would let tech companies form their own governments. To be clear, form their own governments. And this is something I've thought about for a while, because when I was in graduate school, we used to do this thing where grad students, like once a month, you'd have to give like a paper or a presentation on something that like wasn't your main research, kind of like another thing you were interested in. Mm-hmm. And dude I went to grad school with named Reed, I won't say his last name, but shout out to Reed, great guy. He gave this presentation on how in the future we were all going to live in like militarized zones owned by corporations, and governments would cease to exist. And it would be like Microsoft would have their compound and like militarization on the outside, and outside the walls of the corporate cities would just be like poverty and terror. And everyone that day was like, wow, this is a bad hang. And we're kind of bummed when we went to the bar afterwards. But yeah, that's kind of becoming true. So, and I'm reading, this is from an article. There's a bunch of different people wrote about this. I'm just looking at the Gizmodo article because their user interface is the cleanest, so it felt easiest to read. But Steve Sisolak, the Democratic governor of Nevada, wants to incentivize technology companies to move to his state. And this isn't just tax breaks. So often what will happen is if a state wants to get tech companies there, they'll say, come here, you don't have to pay taxes. Like I think Tesla is moving to Texas for that reason. But this law would basically create this thing called innovation zones, and that if companies could meet minimum capital requirements, so they'd have to have at least $250 million in the bank and plan to invest at least $1 billion in the next decade, they will be able to not just have tax breaks, but to create their own laws, regulations. They could set up local governments complete with 3-member boards of supervisors. Any local ordinances adopted by that board would supersede the rules of the county in which their innovation zone was placed. So the company would have more power than the county. Only 8 types of companies are allowed to do this, though. So if you're out there thinking like, oh, I'm in, you have to either work in blockchain, autonomous technology, Internet of Things, robotics, artificial intelligence, wireless technology, biometrics, or renewable resource technology.
Most of those things are the exact companies I wouldn't like. Listen, if it was like, hey, this sock company, you make really good socks, darn tough, highly recommend them. You get to run your small town in Vermont. I'd be like, I don't trust it, but all right. But you're going to fucking make people writing AI.
Yeah. And not only do they basically set up their own board of supervisors with laws that supersede the county, they also get to create a judicial court. And they're allowed to have their own district attorney, county clerk, and sheriff.
What?
Yes. So you might be asking, well, what can't they do? They can't create a sales tax, and they can't levy property taxes. So they can't create new taxes. They would, though, be able to tax fuel after a certain point of time. And just to say this, too, if anyone, just to be clear, this is a Democratic governor that's coming up with this, too, in case anyone wants to say this is some weird, like, right-wing thing. Democratic governor who's come up with this plan. I'll quickly say my take. It really terrifies me. I think this idea sets a really insane precedent, and I think we've already seen with like the passing of Proposition 22 in California, which is now being turned into a proposition in New York. Look this up if you need to. I think we've talked about it before. That we're sliding into a dangerous territory where companies, and particularly tech companies and platform services, are not only now writing legislation, they're going to be able to have their own cities, their own courts, their own sheriffs. And I don't see how this ends well. And it seems to be fundamentally non-democratic as well. Because one of the issues with the Nevada thing is the 3-person board of supervisors in the tech city would have more power than democratically elected officials within that county. So if you were a resident in whatever county, this company would have the ability to, take away or replace laws that were democratically established in your county by their own legislation and their own judges and their own sheriffs. I don't like it.
I don't think it's new. I don't think it's as severe, but they're called like free trade zones. I think they exist in Jamaica, for instance, where multinational corporations convince the Jamaican government, like, hey, give us this area where normal like labor laws don't apply. And so it's not, again, like full government situation, but they basically get to carve out their own like autonomous zone where they get to do certain things. And, they're nightmares. And lots of people in the comments are pointing out this is just a company town, which has been not cool recently, except Disney is constantly trying to do it again and again with places like Celebration Florida. We have a whole video about it. Go check it out. But for anyone who doesn't know, especially in the 1800s, company towns were like a factory would come in, they would build a school, a church, a grocery store. They would pay you in script, which wasn't real money. It was like V-Bucks that you could go to your store and spend there. And so if you wanted to leave...
Wait, who would own the store, though, where you spent your V-Bucks?
Yeah, the company. And so...
Wait, so the company pays you and you pay them the money back? I'm going to go figure this out.
So we should set up Wisetown, by the way. But... obviously there's a million problems with this. People couldn't leave because they had no savings except in their V-Bucks. There was like, I think Supreme Court cases about like free speech rights and shit like that. Anyway, they went out of fashion because they were fucking horrible. And they should have. But the Gilded Age, one of the biggest moments in sort of wealth inequality in America at the end of the 1800s, maybe we're just back there now, it's like going back to the 80s and like big hair is cool again. Like just company towns are cool again. Maybe coal mining. Like Black Lung is going to become really cool. Yeah.
I will say too, just to do whatever. We have a video coming out soon that kind of talks about some of this stuff that I'm very excited about. So keep watching our videos. I'm a company man.
This sounds horrifying. I can't think of anything good that will come of this. Would be interested in the renewable energy town, but other than that, I can't think of any like benefit other than Nevada's trying to get people to come to their state.
Yeah, but like Alex just pointed out, like look into the history of company towns didn't end well. In many cases, workers. I mean, this is like one of the reasons why unions got formed, because people had to band together and use their collective power to be like, we would like to be paid in money, please. And what eventually happened is a lot of those companies just left when it wasn't convenient to do that. So, yeah, not the best.
Yeah. If anyone's interested in like a parody of what this world looks like, there's a book called Snow Crash, which was recommended by our director, Michael Luxembourg, where basically like everything's like you have sovereignty of like different corporations. So there's like a company that runs a neighborhood and like you're a citizen of that, and they have like whatever. Everything's a constant war. The mafias run like a company / sovereign government. It's really funny. It's called Snow Crash by, I think, Neil Stevenson. Check it out.
Nice. Well, yeah, we'll leave that there. Have fun dystopian dreams, kids. Obviously, would love to hear your thoughts on that. Are you afraid of that? Do you plan to be a COVID sneak? And do you get down on Friday? So as always, you can write us and call us. Call us at 213-534-8807. That is 213-534-8807. And you can write us at culturebinge@wisecrack.co. No M. culturebinge@wisecrack.co. And I just want to say thank you so much to everyone that wrote in after last show. In particular, I was so psyched that so many of you wrote in to talk about corniness culture. And we're not going to go through all of those. We can't thank everyone by name, but know that those have all been read. And I have like stars on all those in my email inbox. And I want to keep thinking about this corniness thing. And so many of you brought up interesting ideas. Some of you made me feel good about myself because you were like, wow, Michael had some points there. But a few of you were like, I don't know about this, big guy. And I appreciate that as well. But thank you so much, and I'm planning in the coming weeks to talk about that again with all of your work supporting me. I won't give you credit; I'll take credit for it. But truly appreciate that, and like always, keep writing, keep calling. So we'll go. Let's look at what we got this week, Alec. What have you curated for us?
Yeah, we've got a voicemail from Bongo on corniness culture.
Hey, this is Bongo calling from Spokane, Washington for the most recent Culture Binge episode. I was listening to the discussion y'all were having on corniness and the culture, and I think y'all really were spot on in a way that I personally have felt that, but I've probably not been able to articulate. And just to use some of the examples you specifically cited, for example, the Amanda Gorman poem, I honestly, I couldn't listen to it. I just thought it was the cringiest thing in the world, and I don't have any issue with her personally. She seems very nice. I just didn't care for it. Or even like with The West Wing, we used to play it every Friday in my AP Gov class in high school, and I was like one of the only students that just thought it sucked. And I just got roasted endlessly for it because everyone else loved it, and I just hated it and hated when it came along because I'd rather just learn what we were doing because I was interested in the subject. But yeah, anyway, I thought that was a really interesting discussion. Love the show. And sorry, I actually just left like a 3-minute voicemail because I recorded it and I messed it up and I tried to delete it. But anyway, enjoy the show.
Bongo, it's okay. We all try our best. Also, Bongo, let us know, is that your government name or a nickname? Either way, it rules. But thanks for that. And that his example of a AP government over playing The West Wing is exactly what I'm talking about when I say that the infection of corniness culture and the idea that watching an Aaron Sorkin show is going to teach us about like the glory of government. Come on, fire that teacher. Don't fire them.
I mean, I don't mean to minimize other awful things, but I think Aaron Sorkin has done more to hurt popular politics than many other things that have happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah, he's worse than Mussolini, I'll say. Just kidding.
We got some emails. culturebinge@wisecrack.co if you guys want to send us a line. Just a quick one for Max about the GameStop story we talked about a while ago. Just a fun little anecdote. In Australia, there's a mining company that has the same ticker code, GME, and their fucking stock shot up, and it's really funny. So thank you, Max, for sending us that. We got an email from, there's a really good one that I love so much. It's very, I'm interested in things that categorize things very extensively. And
yes, this email is so good.
Yeah. On corniness culture, this is an email from Lars. Lars, thank you so much. I wanted to show you guys, specifically Michael, a list I've made related to the discussion on corniness in our culture. I intended this list to categorize how we like or dislike things in this culture. Here it is. So this is an exhaustive list of the different ways you can relate to liking or disliking things. All right, so just going to go by it pretty fast. Likes, dislikes the thing, normal. Dislikes the thing because others like the thing, hipster contrarian. Likes the thing because others dislike the thing, edgy contrarian. Likes the thing ironically, ironic. Likes the thing ironically for so long that it doubles back and becomes unironic, meta-ironic. Likes the thing before others likes the thing and boast about it, hipster. Dislike the thing but only likes the thing now because other people started to like the thing, bandwagoner. Didn't like the thing, but now likes the thing because taste change. Normal. Likes the thing and takes it upon themselves to deem it if others truly like the thing and can be in the liking thing community based on standards made up in their head. That's a gatekeeper. Genuinely likes the thing and doesn't care if others dislike the thing because they understand everyone has their own taste preferences. That's normal. Genuinely dislikes the thing and doesn't understand. There's two normals. Genuinely dislikes the thing and doesn't understand why others like the thing but doesn't boast about it, also normal. Does not necessarily like or dislike the thing, also normal. Likes the thing obsessively, fanatic or stan. Dislikes the thing obsessively, cynic. Likes the thing and thinks they're better than others because of it, elitist. Likes the thing and thinks they're smarter than others because of it, intellectual, trademark. Lars, this is great. I feel like it's a not exhaustive list. I think this needs more work. And that's not dunking on you, because I think this is an amazing start, and I just need to know all of the various ways that people categorize of how you could like things. So thank you.
Yes, amazing, Lars. Thank you so much. I like yelped with joy when I opened that email.
Yeah. I think there needs to be like likes a thing because it likes the thing because they like the political messaging of it aligns with their own political values, even though the thing itself is fine or whatever.
Yeah. Or like likes the thing because your friend's mom likes it, and while you wouldn't say you're attracted to her, she fills this void left by your own mother. So by affirming your friend's mom, you feel like you can access a love you never had.
Yeah.
Or like likes the thing because you need to in order to survive in your company culture. Something that's like...
Or like likes a thing because someone with a mask has a gun to your head and says if you don't like it, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
Or likes the thing, but... Sorry, what?
No, sorry.
I'm just kidding. We should not keep going with these. Any more emails for this time?
We got a few ones about corniness. Let's go with... Here's one from Daniel. Daniel here emailing again with some thoughts on corny culture, detailed explanations below, but my theory is that some of what you're seeing is a response to two different forces. One, vastly different experiences, understanding, expertise between all of the audience that are engaging with at the same time, same way. And two, binary labeling of media content culture as either good or bad through social media sound bites versus nuanced discussion. So this is number one. Some of the corny don't touch icons are very popular and are given to a very wide audience, of which experts, those involved with the culture, as well as those. Sorry, this email, I think the grammar is a little weird, but I think I can summarize. Basically, point one, and I think it's a very good point, Danielle, is that things are bringing stuff to a wide audience, like Hamilton. A lot of people not interested in musical theater get into Hamilton and they're like, this is cool, I like this, whatever. But then people with more of a background in, say, like history or musical theater are like, this isn't that good. And they're like, how dare you dislike the thing that I have? Same thing with Amanda Gorman. Like, not a lot of people are exposed to a ton of poetry outside of maybe middle school and sometimes high school. And so like, it's fine. And then everyone's on the internet commenting at the same time about whether or not you have to like this Amanda Gorman poem or you have to like Hamilton. The other thing that Daniel gets into is that, this is sort of touches on social media culture where it's not like, oh, Hamilton is a enjoyable musical, but some of the history is kind of wonky and there's lots of decisions made and we can criticize some of those decisions and not necessarily call the whole thing bad or, say it's amazingly good. But social media doesn't encourage that. It either has to be good or basically canceled. And so I think just, the inability to think about things in a nuanced way. And so I thought those were really good points, Daniel.
Absolutely. I'm never not impressed by the awesome people that hang out with us on this podcast and write in and contribute to the conversations. We should probably start wrapping up unless you have another email you wanted to get hit real quick.
I think we can stop there. We got a lot of good ones, but I think... Yeah.
If ever there was a week, y'all, we have so many good ones that we wish we could get into. We don't have time to, but keep writing them. We'll get to this stuff. So once again, culturebinge@wisecrack.co, 213-534-8807. And another reminder, we talked about it before. If you want to interact with us, jump on HiHo. hiho.video/beta/wisecrack. And just a reminder, the beta is for iOS only right now, so sadly we are going to preference Apple users, but it will be open to everyone at some point. So why not leave us a video voicemail there? So along with our email and our phone number, you can jump on HiHo, leave a message for Culture Binge there, respond to our story, and we can include that as well. And with that too, even if we don't get it on the show, we'll just respond to you live on HiHo. So you win, we win, everyone wins. Say hi to HiHo. That's not their slogan, but if they want to use it, I'm taking offers. Okay, so real quick before we end, where can people bug you that's not at your house or on HiHo?
Suri Patel 22 on Twitter.
Great. Alec, how about you?
I'm at Wisecrack Alec.
Great. At Michael O. Burns. Bug us, talk to us, simp us, but in a respectful and not a creepy way. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Actually, Alex just implied he wants to be simped in a creepy way. The others of us, we want respectful simping. So we'll be back in 2 weeks streaming. We want to see you then. Jump on HiHo in the meantime. That's all for this Culture Binge. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.